Adeze Okonkwo was done with men. At 42 years old, freshly divorced after 20 years of marriage to a man who had traded her in for his 25-year-old secretary, she had earned the right to be done. The secretary's name was Brittany. Brittany with the bleached teeth, the vocal fry, and the apparent inability to spell the word necessary, despite having a college degree. That Brittany. Adeze had spent the last 6 months rebuilding herself from the ground up. New business, new confidence, new wardrobe that actually fit her curves instead of hiding them like her ex-husband had always insisted she should. New life that revolved around her needs, her dreams, her ambitions. Her luxury skincare company, Ada's Glow, had started as a pandemic hobby. While her marriage crumbled around her like a house made of cards in a windstorm, she'd mixed shea butter in her kitchen, remembering her grandmother's recipes from childhood in Nigeria. Those simple mixtures had somehow transformed into a multi-million-dollar enterprise that was now being courted by major international retailers. The company had just secured its first major international contract with Lumiere Cosmetics, a Seoul-based conglomerate with distribution channels across Asia, Europe, and parts of North America. It was the kind of deal that could catapult Ada's Glow from boutique brand to global powerhouse. The kind of deal that would prove to everyone, especially her ex-husband, that she was more than just a cute little hobbyist, as he'd so condescendingly called her. Which was why she found herself standing in the marble lobby of the JW Marriott in Gangnam at midnight on a Tuesday, jet-lagged beyond the capacity for rational thought, irritable from 14 hours in economy class. Her assistant had accidentally booked the wrong fare category, and arguing with a receptionist who smiled with all her teeth while insisting that Adeze's reservation didn't exist. "Ma'am, I completely understand your frustration," the receptionist said in that tone that meant she didn't understand at all. "But I've checked our system 3 times now. There's no booking under Okonkwo, spelled Okonkwo, or under the company name Ada's Glow." Adeze pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling a migraine building behind her eyes like a thunderstorm on the horizon. She had left Lagos at 6 in the morning yesterday. Or was it the day before? Time zones had turned her brain into mush. She'd had layovers in Dubai and Hong Kong, had spent the last hour in customs explaining to a very suspicious immigration officer why a Nigerian woman was carrying 3 large suitcases full of skincare products into South Korea. "I have the confirmation email right here," Adeze said, pulling out her phone with fingers that trembled slightly from exhaustion. "Booking reference number, dates, everything. How can you not have it in your system?" "Excuse me." A voice interrupted from behind her, warm and unexpectedly deep, with a musical quality that made her think of expensive whiskey and late-night jazz clubs. "I couldn't help overhearing. You're Adeze Okonkwo? From Ada's Glow." She turned around, prepared to deliver a withering glare at whoever was eavesdropping on her humiliation, and found herself staring at quite possibly the most beautiful man she had ever seen in person. And she had been to Lagos Fashion Week 3 times. So that was saying something. He was young. Too young, her brain immediately registered, setting off alarm bells that clanged like church bells on Sunday morning. He had the kind of face that belonged on billboards advertising overpriced cologne or Swiss watches. Sharp jawline that could cut glass. Full lips curved in a slight smile that managed to be both apologetic and charming. Dark eyes that seemed to catch the lobby's ambient lighting in a way that should be illegal in at least 3 countries. He wore a simple black hoodie that probably cost more than her entire flight and artfully ripped jeans that looked designer rather than distressed. A sleek motorcycle helmet dangled casually from one hand. His hair was pushed back from his face, slightly mussed in a way that looked accidental but was probably very, very deliberate. Student, her mind catalogued automatically. Or influencer. Maybe both. Korean men seem to have a monopoly on looking effortlessly perfect. Either way, not someone she had time for at midnight in a hotel lobby where her reservation had apparently vanished into the technological ether. "Yes," she said coolly, in the tone she had perfected during 20 years of marriage to a man who thought her business ideas were cute. "I'm Kong Ji-hoon." He gave a slight bow, not deep, just a polite acknowledgement that somehow managed to feel both respectful and intimate. "I work at Lumiere Cosmetics. Well, technically I intern there. I was supposed to pick you up from Incheon Airport at 10 p.m., but your flight arrived early and by the time I got there, you had already taken a taxi." His English was absolutely flawless, with just a hint of an accent that made certain words sound softer, more melodic. Like he had learned the language from someone British, but had spent time in America too. He pulled out his phone, swiping through screens with a kind of practiced ease that suggested he lived on the device. There was a system error on our end. Your hotel booking got cancelled when Lumiere's accounts department updated their reservation software last week. Half our international client bookings got wiped out. Complete disaster. I've been trying to fix it for the past 3 hours. I've called every hotel in Gangnam, most of them twice. Adiz felt her exhaustion crystallize into sharp, focused anger. 3 hours? And no one thought to call me? Email me? Send up a smoke signal? Carrier pigeon? He had the grace to look genuinely sheepish, running a hand through his already messed hair in a gesture that was either nervous or calculated. Probably both. Your phone was off. Flight mode, probably. And the person who was supposed to email you about the change was the same person who caused the error, so. He grimaced. She got fired this afternoon. It's been complete chaos. Some of Adiz's anger deflated. She knew what it was like to have employees screw up spectacularly. That's unfortunate. For her. She'd been warned 3 times about being careless with client information. This was just the final straw. He pocketed his phone and met her eyes directly. There was intelligence there, and competence, and something else she couldn't quite name. Look, I know this is a complete disaster, and you have every right to be furious. If I were in your position, I'd be absolutely livid. I'd probably be throwing things. But I've found a solution. I'm listening. There's a hotel 5 minutes from here, the Four Seasons, with a premium suite available. Lumiere will cover all costs, obviously, plus compensation for the inconvenience. I can take you there right now. She studied him more carefully, looking past the pretty face to the competence underneath. Despite his youth, there was something self-assured in the way he held himself, something that suggested he was used to solving problems and dealing with crises. His clothes might scream rich kid, but his body language said, I'll handle this. How old are you? The question came out before she could stop it, before her professional filter could catch it and strangle it. The question clearly surprised him. His eyebrows shot up, and for a moment he looked uncertain, vulnerable even. Then he recovered with that smile. 26. Why? 26. Sweet Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. She had shoes older than that. She had skincare products with longer development cycles than his age. She had a daughter who was 23, for crying out loud. Just wondering if you're old enough to have a driver's license, she said. And a business card. And, you know, the authority to be offering me hotel rooms at midnight. His smile widened, transforming his face from merely handsome to genuinely dangerous. The kind of smile that had probably gotten him out of trouble his entire life. I promise I'm old enough for all kinds of things, Ms. Okonkwo, including fixing this catastrophic mess my company created. I have both a license and a business card, and while I'm technically an intern, my family owns Lumiere Cosmetics, so I do have some pull when it comes to making decisions. What do you say? Trust me. Something about the way he said it, trust me, with that slight tilt of his head and the warmth in his eyes, made her pulse kick up in a way that was entirely inappropriate given their respective ages, their business relationship, and the fact that she was exhausted enough to hallucinate. She blamed jet lag and low blood sugar. Fine, she heard herself say. But if this other hotel is a love motel or some kind of sketchy establishment where people pay by the hour, I'm reporting you to your supervisor, who is presumably also your relative, given what you just told me about your family, but still. It's the Four Seasons, he said, unable to keep the amusement out of his voice. I think your virtue will survive the night. Though I appreciate your healthy paranoia. It probably serves you well in business. He reached for the handle of her rolling suitcase before she could protest. Come on. My bike's outside. Your what? Wait. Motorcycle. She took a step back. Absolutely not. I'm not getting on a motorcycle with a strange man at midnight in a foreign country. That's literally how horror movies start. That's the inciting incident for every true crime podcast ever made. Ji-hoon paused mid-step, turning back with an expression of such pure, innocent confusion that she almost laughed despite herself. But I'm not a stranger anymore. I'm Kang Ji-hoon, intern, technically heir, to Lumiere Cosmetics, your company's new partner. I'm 26 years old. I was born in Seoul but lived in London for 5 years, which is why my English is good. I like sushi and traditional Korean barbecue. I hate horror movies with a burning passion, and I've been tracking your career for 2 years because your approach to natural skincare combining African botanical traditions with modern chemistry is absolutely revolutionary. He said this all in one breath, like he had been waiting to tell her these things. I wrote my graduate thesis on bioactive compounds in West African plants because of your work. Specifically, your research on shea butter processing methods and their impact on vitamin retention. See, not a stranger at all. Practically old friends. She stared at him, temporarily speechless. Her brain was trying to process the information while simultaneously dealing with the fact that this absurdly attractive young man had just casually mentioned writing his thesis on her work. You wrote your thesis on my work. Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Your TED Talk on African botanical ingredients and the colonial history of the beauty industry changed how I think about product development entirely, he said, with a kind of earnest intensity usually reserved for religious conversions. Before that, I was planning to go into pharmaceutical chemistry. Boring, corporate, safe. My father's choice, not mine. But you made me realize that cosmetics aren't frivolous. They're cultural preservation. Their identity. Their resistance against homogenization and cultural erasure. He glanced at his watch, an expensive-looking thing that probably cost more than her car. Now, about that motorcycle. I have 2 helmets. The Four Seasons is literally 5 minutes away. And honestly, Ms. Okonkwo, you look like you're about 30 seconds from falling asleep standing up. Please, let me help you. It was the please that did it. Not demanding, not presumptuous. Just a genuine request from someone who seemed to actually care about helping her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Adiz grabbed her carry-on bag with one hand and pointed at him with the other. If I die, I'm haunting you first. And I'm a Nigerian woman, so trust me when I say I will be an extremely persistent ghost. I will rattle chains. I will move objects. I will make your life a living hell. His laugh was warm and genuine, crinkling the corners of his eyes in a way that made him look both younger and somehow more real. I'll take that chance. Though fair warning, my grandmother was a mudong, a Korean shaman, so I'm probably better equipped to handle persistent ghosts than most people. We might even become friends. Your grandmother was a shaman? Still is, actually. She's 83 and terrifying. You'd probably like her. The motorcycle was parked just outside the hotel entrance, sleek and black and looking like it cost more than her first car. More than her second car too, probably. Ji-hoon secured her large suitcase in what appeared to be a custom cargo attachment with practiced efficiency, then produced 2 helmets from a side compartment. He handed her one, full-face, top-of-the-line, with what looked like a built-in communication system. You just carry a spare helmet around? She asked, turning it over in her hands. It was surprisingly light. I'm an optimist. Always prepared for unexpected passengers. He swung onto the bike with easy, athletic grace that suggested he'd been riding for years. You'll need to hold on. Arms around my waist. Don't be shy about it. I promise I won't bite. Well, not on the first ride, anyway. Was he flirting? At midnight, while discussing motorcycle safety. She couldn't tell if he was genuinely interested or just naturally charming with everyone. Men who looked like him were usually charming with everyone. It was a survival mechanism, like camouflage. Adiz climbed on behind him, immediately and acutely aware of how little space there was on the bike, how close they had to be. She placed her hands tentatively on his sides, feeling lean muscle under the hoodie, but the first turn into traffic forced her to wrap her arms properly around his waist. He was warm despite the cool night air, solid and real in a way that made her hyper-aware of her own body pressed against his. Comfortable. His voice came through the helmet's intercom, startlingly intimate, like he was whispering directly into her ear. "That's one word for it," she muttered, trying to ignore the fact that her thighs were bracketing his hips, that her chest was flush against his back, that she could feel him breathe, could feel the rise and fall of his ribs with each inhalation. He laughed again, the sound reverberating through both their bodies where they were pressed together. "Hold on tight. Soul traffic is aggressive even at midnight. Especially on Friday nights." And then they were moving, and she forgot to be self-conscious about the intimacy of their position because, holy God, the man could ride. He wove through late-night soul traffic with a confidence that should have terrified her but somehow didn't. The city lights blurred around them in streaks of neon and gold. Shop signs in Korean, traffic lights, the warm glow from apartment windows, the cool blue of convenience stores. Despite herself, despite everything, the exhaustion, the age difference, the complete inappropriateness of the situation, Adiz felt something she hadn't felt in years. Alive. Really, truly, viscerally alive. The wind rushing past them, the rumble of the engine, the warmth of another human being, the sheer reckless joy of movement. When was the last time she'd felt like this? Not careful, not controlled, not managed. Just alive. The ride lasted exactly 7 minutes according to the digital clock on the bike's dashboard. 7 minutes that felt like both an eternity and no time at all. 7 minutes of inappropriate awareness, of his body moving in sync with the machine, of the controlled power in his arms when he turned, of the scent of his cologne, something clean and expensive with notes of cedar and citrus, filling her helmet. When they pulled up to the Four Seasons, she dismounted quickly, needing distance and air and space to think without the distraction of physical contact. Her legs were shaky, though whether from the ride or from something else entirely, she didn't want to examine too closely. But Ji-hoon was already there, helping her with the helmet, his hands steady and sure on the clasps. His fingers brushed her jaw and she sucked in a breath. "See," he said, grinning that dangerous grin. "Survived your first soul motorcycle ride with only mild trauma. I'd call that a success." "More than mild," she said, but she was smiling despite herself, despite the lateness of the hour and the complete absurdity of her situation. "But I suppose you get points for not crashing and killing us both." "Low bar, but I'll take it." He retrieved her suitcase and walked her to the entrance, moving with the easy confidence of someone who had visited 5-star hotels his entire life. Someone for whom luxury was baseline, not special. At the door, he paused, seeming to debate something internally. Then he pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. "I just sent you my number," he said. "If you need anything, and I mean anything, while you're in Seoul, call me. Hotel problems, navigation issues, restaurant recommendations, emergency kimchi cravings at 3 a.m. Whatever. I mean it." She took the offered business card he produced from somewhere, actual business card, embossed and expensive looking, and found herself saying, "You've already made up for the hotel disaster. Thank you, Ji-hoon." The way his face lit up at her use of his first name was ridiculously endearing, like she had given him an unexpected gift. Like hearing his name in her accent was something special. "You're welcome, Adiz." He said her name carefully, getting the pronunciation absolutely perfect on the first try. Adiz, with the emphasis in all the right places, the way it was meant to be said. Most people got it wrong. Most people didn't even try. "I'll pick you up at 9 tomorrow morning for the office tour and initial meeting with the board. Try to get some sleep. You look like you need it." "Wow, way to sweet-talk a lady," she said dryly. "I prefer honesty to flattery. But for the record, you look beautiful even when you're exhausted and glaring at hotel receptionists. I'll see you tomorrow, Adiz." He said her name again, like he was tasting it, memorizing it. Then he turned and walked back to his motorcycle, all long legs and easy confidence and youth that practically radiated off him like heat. He caught her watching and waved before putting on his helmet. She turned away quickly, feeling like a teenager caught staring at her crush, feeling ridiculous and giddy and entirely too warm. The Four Seasons check-in was blessedly smooth. They were expecting her, had her upgraded to a premium suite with a view, and the receptionist didn't ask any questions about why she was arriving at 1 in the morning with motorcycle helmet hair and a dazed expression. The suite was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of Seoul's glittering skyline. King-size bed with sheets that probably had a thread count higher than her credit score. Marble bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. Adiz collapsed onto the bed and pulled out her phone. She had 17 messages from her daughter Zainab, ranging from, "Have a safe flight, Mom," to, "MOM, if you don't text me back in the next hour, I'm calling the Nigerian embassy and starting an international incident." She typed out a quick response. "Alive. Hotel mix-up but sorted now. In Seoul. Will call tomorrow. Love you, my darling drama queen." Then, because she was apparently a masochist with no sense of self-preservation, she Googled Kang Ji-hoon Lumiere Cosmetics. The results made her groan out loud and immediately regret having internet access. Of course he was Seoul's most eligible bachelor. Of course he had been featured in GQ Korea. Of course he had graduated summa cum laude from Seoul National University with a degree in chemical engineering. Of course he had published papers in prestigious chemistry journals before he was 25. Of course his family wasn't just wealthy but generationally, obscenely, owns multiple companies and has art collections, wealthy. There were photos. So many photos. Him at charity galas in perfectly tailored tuxedos, looking like he had stepped out of a James Bond movie. At Seoul Fashion Week looking unbearably chic in designer clothes. At nightclub openings with models on his arms. Tall, leggy, impossibly young models who looked like they survived on oxygen and good lighting. And yet he had spent 3 hours trying to fix her hotel reservation. Had picked her up at midnight. Had written his thesis on her work. Had looked at her like she was interesting, not just professionally but personally. Stop it, she told herself firmly. He's 26. He's practically a child. He probably flirts with everyone. It doesn't mean anything. But her body, traitorous thing that it was, still remembered the warmth of him, the solid feel of his back against her chest, the way his voice had sounded in her helmet. Adiz stripped off her travel clothes, took the world's fastest shower, and fell into bed. The sheets were as soft as they looked. The bed was absurdly comfortable. She should have fallen asleep immediately. Instead, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the entire evening. The way Ji-hoon had handled the crisis with such calm competence. The way he had said her name. The way he had smiled at her. She was done with men, she reminded herself. Done with complications. Done with romance. Done with putting her heart at risk. But as sleep finally claimed her, her last conscious thought was of warm brown eyes and a smile that promised trouble. This, she knew with absolute certainty, was going to be a problem. A big, beautiful 26-year-old problem who rode a motorcycle and smelled like cedar and citrus and made her feel alive for the first time in years. God help her. Chapter 2. The Pursuit. Ji-hoon arrived at exactly 8:55 the next morning, which meant Adiz had been pacing her hotel lobby for 10 minutes, telling herself she was not eager to see him again. She was just punctual, professional, prepared. She had dressed carefully that morning, spending far too long selecting the perfect outfit. Her best navy pantsuit, the one that made her look like she owned boardrooms. The Hermes scarf her mother had given her for her 40th birthday, the one that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Makeup flawless, applied with the skill of someone who had been doing it for decades. Hair in a sleek bun that said, "I mean business." Professional armor. He walked in at exactly 8:55 a.m. wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe, and she had to completely revise her assessment of him as a struggling intern. The suit fit him like it had been made specifically for his body, which it probably had been. His hair was styled back from his face in a way that looked effortless but definitely wasn't. And he wore thin-framed glasses that absolutely should not have made him look even more attractive but somehow did. Adiz had a thing for men in glasses. She had forgotten she had a thing for men in glasses. She wished she could forget again immediately. "Good morning," he said, and the smile was the same as last night. Warm, genuine, slightly dangerous, like he was harboring secrets he might share if you asked nicely. "Sleep well." "Eventually," she lied. She had spent most of the night alternating between sleeping fitfully and researching Kang Ji-hoon on every platform she could find. What she had discovered had been concerning. Not in a criminal way, The man was clean as a whistle, apparently a model citizen. But in a "this man is way out of your league in every conceivable way" kind of concerning. He had graduated top of his class from Seoul National University. He had published 3 papers on cosmetic chemistry in prestigious journals before he was 25. He spoke 4 languages fluently: Korean, English, Mandarin, and Japanese. His family owned not just Lumiere Cosmetics but also a chain of luxury hotels and a significant stake in a tech company that made smartphone components. Also, according to several Korean gossip sites she had run through Google Translate at 2 in the morning, he was Seoul's most eligible bachelor and had been photographed with more models and actresses than she could count. There was apparently a whole online fandom dedicated to speculating about his dating life, which made his attention to her, a divorced Nigerian woman 16 years his senior with stretch marks and a daughter in college, even more baffling and potentially humiliating. "I brought you breakfast," he said, holding up a bag from what she had learned last night was Seoul's most exclusive bakery. The one where you had to order a week in advance, and even then they might not have what you wanted. "I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I got a variety. There's also coffee, Kenyan roast, since I thought you might appreciate something closer to home." The thoughtfulness of it made something in her chest squeeze uncomfortably. He had thought about what she might want, had considered her preferences, her possible homesickness, her needs. "You didn't have to do that," she said, taking the bag. It smelled amazing, fresh bread and coffee and something sweet she couldn't identify. "I wanted to." He said it simply, like it was the most natural thing in the world to spend his morning thinking about a client's breakfast preferences. Ready to see where the magic happens? The Lumiere headquarters was a stunning glass and steel building in the heart of Gangnam, all clean lines and natural light, and the kind of architectural design that made you feel like you had stepped into the future. The lobby had a waterfall feature that somehow didn't feel pretentious, and the security guards knew Ji-hoon by name. "Good morning, Mr. Kang," they said, bowing slightly. He bowed back, genuinely, not perfunctorily. He walked her through the building with obvious pride, introducing her to key personnel, explaining processes with an enthusiasm that made even quality control testing sound exciting. Everyone they met treated him with respect but also warmth. Clearly he was liked here, not just tolerated because of his family name. But it was in the research and development lab that he truly came alive. "This is where I spend most of my time," he said, gesturing to a station covered in beakers, compounds, testing equipment, and what looked like organized chaos. There were papers everywhere, covered in chemical formulas and notes in both Korean and English. "Your shea butter formulation, the one you developed using traditional Nigerian processing methods combined with modern emulsification techniques. I've been trying to replicate it for 6 months. I can't get it right." He picked up a jar and showed her. "The texture is perfect. The scent profile is almost there. But the absorption rate isn't matching your results, and I can't figure out why. It's driving me insane." Adiz moved closer, examining his setup with a critical eye. She picked up his notes, scanning through them quickly. He had beautiful handwriting, precise, clear. "You're using refined shea butter." "Yes, grade A, certified organic." "That's your problem. You need unrefined, raw, straight from the tree, traditionally processed." She set down his notes and met his eyes. The refining process removes some of the compounds that aid absorption. The vitamins, the fatty acids, the natural scent molecules, they all work together. You can't separate them and expect the same results. But unrefined shea butter has more impurities, more variation batch to batch. That's why you test every batch and adjust your ratios accordingly. It's more work, yes, more quality control, but it's the only way to get the results you want. She picked up his notes again. "And your ratios are off. You need more vitamin E, less coconut oil. The coconut oil is competing with the shea butter for absorption pathways." He leaned over her shoulder to look at the notes, close enough that she could feel his breath on her neck, could smell his cologne from last night, cedar and citrus and something underneath that was just him. "Show me."
The next 2 hours dissolved into a blur of chemistry and collaboration. Adiz found herself relaxing, really relaxing, for the first time since her divorce. This was her element. This was where she shined. Not in looking pretty or being accommodating or managing someone else's ego, but in the pure intellectual pleasure of solving problems, creating something beautiful and functional from raw materials. And Jehun was brilliant. Actually, genuinely brilliant. Not just smart for a rich kid brilliant. He grasped concepts quickly, asked insightful questions, offered ideas that showed he had done his research and understood the deeper principles at work. And he watched her with such focused intensity that she kept losing her train of thought, kept forgetting what she was saying mid-sentence. "Try this," she said finally, handing him a sample they had just mixed. Her fingers were covered in shea butter and various oils, and she probably looked like a mess, but she felt more herself than she had in months. Instead of testing it on his hand like a normal person, he caught her wrist gently. His fingers were warm against her pulse point. "May I?" Before she could answer, before she could even process what he was asking, he was smoothing the cream over the back of her hand with slow, deliberate strokes. His touch was light but sure, and entirely inappropriate for a professional setting. She should have pulled away, should have established boundaries, should have reminded him that they were colleagues, not whatever this was becoming. She didn't. "Perfect absorption," he murmured, his thumb tracing the bones of her wrist, following the lines of her veins under the skin. "You're a genius, you know that?" "I'm experienced," she corrected, finally pulling her hand back before she did something stupid like lean into his touch. "There's a difference. Genius is innate. Experience is earned through mistakes and time." "I like experience." His eyes met hers, and there was absolutely nothing professional in his gaze. Nothing that could be misinterpreted as colleague-to-colleague interest. Experience means you know what you want. No games. No pretense. No wasting time on things that don't matter. The air between them felt charged, dangerous, like the moment before lightning strikes. "Jehun, have dinner with me tonight." It wasn't a question. Not quite a demand. Somewhere in between, in that space where requests become inevitable. That's not appropriate. Why not? He stepped closer, not quite touching, but close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Close enough that she could see the exact shade of brown his eyes were, could see the individual lashes, could see what looked like genuine confusion in his expression. We're both adults, both single, both obviously interested in each other. Or are you going to pretend you don't feel this? Because I felt it last night on the motorcycle and I'm feeling it now and I think you are too. She should lie. Should maintain professional boundaries. Should protect herself from the inevitable complications and heartbreak that would come from getting involved with someone like him. "You're 16 years younger than me," she said instead. "So?" He said it like age was the least relevant factor in the world. Like he genuinely couldn't understand why it would matter. "You're beautiful and intelligent and accomplished. When you talk about your work, your whole face lights up in a way that makes me want to listen to you for hours. When you laugh, it sounds like music. Why would I care about numbers on a birth certificate?" Because she struggled to articulate all the reasons this was a bad idea, all the complications she could foresee. "Because I'm divorced. Because I have a daughter who's only 3 years younger than you. Because this is a business relationship and I don't mix business with pleasure. I learned that lesson the hard way. Because you're scared." He said it gently, without judgment, like he was simply stating an observable fact. "I get it. I do. But Adiz, I'm not your ex-husband. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to waste your time. I just want to have dinner with you. One dinner. If you don't enjoy it, if you feel like I'm wasting your time, or if there's no connection, I'll back off completely. I'll be nothing but professional. But if you do..." He let the sentence hang there, heavy with possibility, with promise, with the weight of things unspoken. Every rational part of her brain was screaming no, was listing all the reasons this was a terrible idea. The age gap, the power dynamics, the potential for professional disaster. The fact that he was probably just bored and she was novel and interesting, and once the novelty wore off he would move on to someone younger and prettier and less complicated. But there was something magnetic about him, something that made her want to take the risk. Something in the way he looked at her, not like she was a conquest or a challenge, but like she was interesting, valuable, Worth pursuing. One dinner, she heard herself say. But somewhere public. And we split the check. I pay my own way. His smile could have lit up the entire city, could have powered every building in Seoul for a week. Deal. I know the perfect place. That evening, Jaehoon took her to a rooftop restaurant in Itaewon with a view that literally stole her breath. The sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. The city stretched out below them like something from a movie. The restaurant was elegant but not stuffy, with soft jazz playing and candles on every table and the kind of ambience that suggested romance without being overwhelming about it. "This is public?" she asked, noting that they were the only diners on what appeared to be a private section of the terrace. Technically. He pulled out her chair, and she let him, because sometimes traditional gestures were nice even if you were a feminist. "I may have called in a favor and reserved this section, but there are staff around, and other diners one floor down. Public enough." She should have been annoyed at his high-handedness, at his assumption that she would say yes, at his use of money and privilege to create this perfect setting. Instead, she found it charming, thoughtful. The effort he had put into this was obvious. 1 point for effort, she conceded, sitting down. The chair was comfortable. The view was spectacular. She was in trouble. Dinner was perfect. That was the only word for it. The food was incredible, a fusion of Korean and West African cuisines that someone had clearly researched specifically for her. Jollof rice with a Korean twist. Grilled fish with a pepper sauce that tasted like home. Plantains fried in sesame oil. Each dish was a conversation between cultures, a bridge between her world and his. "Did you plan this menu?" she asked after the third course, after she had stopped being polite and had started actually enjoying herself. "I may have consulted with the chef," he admitted. "I wanted you to feel welcome, comfortable. I know how isolating it can be, being far from home, eating food that doesn't taste right." "You've traveled a lot?" "I lived in London for 5 years. University, and then work. I loved it, but I missed Korean food so badly. I used to dream about kimchi jjigae." He took a sip of wine. "Food is culture. Food is home. I thought if I could give you a little bit of home, maybe you'd relax enough to actually enjoy my company instead of analyzing whether this is a terrible idea." The next 2 hours dissolved into a blur of chemistry and collaboration. Adiz found herself relaxing, really relaxing, for the first time since her divorce. This was her element. This was where she shined, not in looking pretty or being accommodating or managing someone else's ego, but in the pure intellectual pleasure of solving problems, creating something beautiful and functional from raw materials. And Jaehoon was brilliant. Actually, genuinely brilliant, not just smart for a rich kid brilliant. He grasped concepts quickly, asked insightful questions, offered ideas that showed he had done his research and understood the deeper principles at work. And he watched her with such focused intensity that she kept losing her train of thought, kept forgetting what she was saying mid-sentence. "Try this," she said finally, handing him a sample they had just mixed. Her fingers were covered in shea butter and various oils, and she probably looked like a mess, but she felt more herself than she had in months. Instead of testing it on his hand like a normal person, he caught her wrist gently. His fingers were warm against her pulse point. "May I?" Before she could answer, before she could even process what he was asking, he was smoothing the cream over the back of her hand with slow, deliberate strokes. His touch was light but sure, and entirely inappropriate for a professional setting. She should have pulled away, should have established boundaries, should have reminded him that they were colleagues, not whatever this was becoming. She didn't. "Perfect absorption," he murmured, his thumb tracing the bones of her wrist, following the lines of her veins under the skin. "You're a genius, you know that?" "I'm experienced," she corrected, finally pulling her hand back before she did something stupid like lean into his touch. "There's a difference. Genius is innate. Experience is earned through mistakes and time." "I like experience." His eyes met hers, and there was absolutely nothing professional in his gaze. Nothing that could be misinterpreted as colleague-to-colleague interest. Experience means you know what you want. No games. No pretense. No wasting time on things that don't matter. The air between them felt charged, dangerous, like the moment before lightning strikes. "Jahan, have dinner with me tonight." It wasn't a question, not quite a demand. Somewhere in between, in that space where requests become inevitable. "That's not appropriate." "Why not?" He stepped closer, not quite touching, but close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Close enough that she could see the exact shade of brown his eyes were, could see the individual lashes, could see what looked like genuine confusion in his expression. "We're both adults, both single, both obviously interested in each other. Or are you going to pretend you don't feel this? Because I felt it last night on the motorcycle and I'm feeling it now and I think you are too." She should lie, should maintain professional boundaries, should protect herself from the inevitable complications and heartbreak that would come from getting involved with someone like him. "You're 16 years younger than me," she said instead. "So?" He said it like age was the least relevant factor in the world, like he genuinely couldn't understand why it would matter. "You're beautiful and intelligent and accomplished. When you talk about your work, your whole face lights up in a way that makes me want to listen to you for hours. When you laugh, it sounds like music. Why would I care about numbers on a birth certificate?" Because she struggled to articulate all the reasons this was a bad idea, all the complications she could foresee. "Because I'm divorced. Because I have a daughter who's only 3 years younger than you. Because this is a business relationship and I don't mix business with pleasure. I learned that lesson the hard way. Because you're scared." He said it gently, without judgment, like he was simply stating an observable fact. "I get it. I do. But Adiz, I'm not your ex-husband. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to waste your time. I just want to have dinner with you. One dinner. If you don't enjoy it, if you feel like I'm wasting your time, or if there's no connection, I'll back off completely. I'll be nothing but professional. But if you do..." He let the sentence hang there, heavy with possibility, with promise, with the weight of things unspoken. Every rational part of her brain was screaming no, was listing all the reasons this was a terrible idea. The age gap, the power dynamics, the potential for professional disaster. The fact that he was probably just bored and she was novel and interesting, and once the novelty wore off he would move on to someone younger and prettier and less complicated. But there was something magnetic about him, something that made her want to take the risk. Something in the way he looked at her, not like she was a conquest or a challenge, but like she was interesting, valuable, worth pursuing. "One dinner," she heard herself say. "But somewhere public. And we split the check. I pay my own way." His smile could have lit up the entire city, could have powered every building in Seoul for a week. "Deal. I know the perfect place." That evening, Jahan took her to a rooftop restaurant in Itaewon with a view that literally stole her breath. The sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. The city stretched out below them like something from a movie. The restaurant was elegant but not stuffy, with soft jazz playing and candles on every table and the kind of ambience that suggested romance without being overwhelming about it. "This is public?" she asked, noting that they were the only diners on what appeared to be a private section of the terrace. "Technically." He pulled out her chair, and she let him, because sometimes traditional gestures were nice even if you were a feminist. "I may have called in a favor and reserved this section, but there are staff around, and other diners one floor down. Public enough." She should have been annoyed at his high-handedness, at his assumption that she would say yes, at his use of money and privilege to create this perfect setting. Instead, she found it charming, thoughtful. The effort he had put into this was obvious. 1 point for effort, she conceded, sitting down. The chair was comfortable. The view was spectacular. She was in trouble. Dinner was perfect. That was the only word for it. The food was incredible, a fusion of Korean and West African cuisines that someone had clearly researched specifically for her. Jollof rice with a Korean twist. Grilled fish with a pepper sauce that tasted like home. Plantains fried in sesame oil. Each dish was a conversation between cultures, a bridge between her world and his. "Did you plan this menu?" she asked after the third course, after she had stopped being polite and had started actually enjoying herself. I may have consulted with the chef, he admitted. I wanted you to feel welcome, comfortable. I know how isolating it can be, being far from home, eating food that doesn't taste right. You've traveled a lot? I lived in London for 5 years. University, and then work. I loved it, but I missed Korean food so badly. I used to dream about kimchi jjigae. He took a sip of wine. Food is culture. Food is home. I thought if I could give you a little bit of home, maybe you'd relax enough to actually enjoy my company instead of analyzing whether this is a terrible idea. She laughed despite herself. What makes you think I'm analyzing? You've checked your phone 3 times, you keep looking at the exit like you're planning an escape route, and you've got that little crease between your eyebrows that means you're thinking too hard. He reached across the table and gently smoothed the spot with his thumb. Stop thinking. Just be here. With me. For tonight, can we just be 2 people having dinner? So she tried. She put her phone away, stopped planning her escape route, let herself just be present. The conversation flowed easily, naturally, like they had known each other for years instead of barely 24 hours. They talked about everything, work and family and dreams and fears. He told her about growing up in a wealthy family, about the pressure to be perfect, about disappointing his father by choosing cosmetics over pharmaceuticals, about his grandmother the shaman who told fortunes and saw ghosts and terrified his entire family. She told him about growing up in Lagos, about her grandmother who made soap and skin cream from plants in her garden, about building Ada's glow from nothing, about the divorce, about learning to stand on her own again. My mother thinks I'm crazy, he admitted over dessert, some kind of chocolate thing that probably had a French name and tasted like heaven. Working as an intern at 26 instead of just taking over the company. But I needed to prove I could do this on my own merit, not just because of my last name. I needed to know that people respect me for my work, not my inheritance. That's admirable, she said, meaning it. Most people in your position would just coast on their family name. Most people in my position are boring. He leaned forward, his eyes intense in the candlelight. My turn for a personal question. Why cosmetics? You could have done anything. You're brilliant enough. Why this? Adiz took a sip of wine, considering. This was the question she usually deflected, the one that got too close to things that mattered. But something about the way he asked, the genuine curiosity in his voice, made her want to answer honestly. When I was growing up in Nigeria, my grandmother made all our skincare products from plants in her garden. Shea butter, African black soap, palm oil treatments, herbs I don't even know the English names for. They worked better than anything we could buy in stores. But the stores didn't carry products for African women anyway. Everything was about lightening your skin, straightening your hair, looking more European. She twisted her wine glass, watching the liquid catch the light. I wanted to change that. Create something that celebrated African beauty traditions instead of trying to erase them. Something that said, you're beautiful as you are, and here are products that enhance what you already have instead of trying to make you into someone else. That's why I'm obsessed with your work, Jahun said softly. It's not just cosmetics. It's cultural preservation. It's identity. It's legacy. You're not just selling products. You're telling stories, preserving traditions, giving people back something that colonialism tried to take away. The fact that he understood that, really, deeply understood it, not just intellectually but emotionally, made something crack in the walls she had built around herself over the past 6 months. Tell me something real, she said impulsively. Not the polished version you show the world. Something true. He was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing patterns on the tablecloth. When he looked up, his eyes were intense, vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen before. I saw you give that TED Talk 2 years ago, he said quietly. I was in the audience. My professor made us attend as part of a course requirement. I remember sitting there, bored out of my mind, checking my phone, thinking about lunch. And then you came on stage. He paused, like he was choosing his words carefully. You wore this bright yellow dress, and you walked out with such confidence, such presence. And when you started talking about your grandmother, about tradition and innovation, about refusing to apologize for taking up space or for your success, I couldn't look away. I forgot about my phone, forgot about lunch, forgot about everything except your words. I went home and watched it 3 more times. read everything you'd published, followed your company's growth. I've thought about you ever since. About your work, yes, but also about you. The woman behind the work. And when I found out you were coming to Seoul, that I'd actually get to meet you, to work with you." He laughed, self-deprecating. "I didn't sleep the night before. I just kept thinking about what I'd say, how I'd introduce myself, whether you'd think I was just some kid." Adi's heart was pounding so hard, she could hear it in her ears. "Jehun, that's crazy?
Probably.
Inappropriate? Definitely. But I've never been good at games, at pretending I don't feel things. I want you, Adiz. I've wanted you since before I met you, and now that I know you, now that I've talked to you and worked with you and seen how your mind works, I want you even more. And I'm going to keep pursuing you until you either give me a real chance or tell me definitively to stop." "I'm persistent," he continued, his voice low and intense. "It's one of my best and worst qualities. I don't give up on things I want. And I want you." She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world had narrowed to his face, his eyes, the absolute certainty in his voice. "You're 26 years old," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "You should be chasing women your own age. Women who don't have stretch marks and crow's feet and a daughter in college. I don't want women my age. I want you." He said it with such simple certainty that it felt like truth, like physics, like something immutable. "I want your experience and your confidence and your laugh, and the way you get completely absorbed in your work and forget the world exists. I want your stories and your scars and your strength. I want all of it. And I'm going to keep pursuing you," he said again. "I'm going to bring you coffee every morning and take you to the best restaurants and show you Seoul and make you laugh. I'm going to prove that age doesn't matter, that what we have, this connection, is real and worth exploring. And eventually, you're going to stop fighting this and admit that you want me too." She should tell him to stop. Should protect them both from inevitable complications. Should be the responsible one. Instead, she turned her hand palm up on the table, an invitation, a surrender. His fingers laced through hers, warm and sure and real. Seoul's city lights blurred around them as he smiled. That dangerous, beautiful smile that was quickly becoming her favorite thing in the world. "One chance," she whispered. "But I have rules. I'm listening. We take this slow. We keep it private until we figure out what this is. And the moment it interferes with business, we stop. Those are non-negotiable." "Agreed." His thumb traced circles on her palm, sending electricity up her arm. "Though I should warn you, slow is not my strong suit when it comes to you. Then you'll have to learn." "Yes, ma'am." His eyes danced with amusement and heat and promise. "Though I reserve the right to make it very difficult for you to stick to slow." God help her, she was already looking forward to it. Chapter 3. The Complication. 2 weeks later, Adiz was forced to admit that Jehun hadn't been exaggerating about his persistence, or his ability to make slow feel absolutely impossible. Every morning brought coffee delivered to her hotel room with a note in his elegant handwriting. "Thinking of you, Jay," or "Can't wait to see you today," or on one particularly memorable occasion, "You wore red yesterday and I couldn't concentrate on anything else all day. Please have mercy and wear something else today. Or don't. I'm not actually complaining." Their work collaboration had deepened into something extraordinary, something that went beyond professional admiration into the realm of creative telepathy. They had developed 3 new product lines, combining her traditional methods with his cutting-edge chemistry. The results were stunning. So stunning that Lumiere's board had fast-tracked the Ada's Glow partnership and offered her a permanent consulting position that would require spending at least 6 months a year in Seoul. Which meant more time in Seoul, more time with Jehun, more time in this dangerous, intoxicating space between professional and personal. They had dinner together 4 more times, each one in a different neighborhood, each one revealing new layers of compatibility, new reasons why this was working despite all logic. He took her to a Nigerian restaurant in Itaewon run by a woman from Lagos who made jollof rice that tasted exactly like home. He learned to make Korean dishes from YouTube videos just to impress her. He asked intelligent, thoughtful questions about her daughter Zainab's engineering program at MIT. And through it all, there was the tension, the constant, simmering, impossible to ignore tension. The way his hand would brush hers when passing lab equipment, lingering just a second too long. The heated looks across conference room tables when other people were talking and neither of them was listening. The time he adjusted her lab coat collar and his fingers grazed her neck, making her lose her train of thought so completely that she had to ask him to repeat the question. The night he walked her to her hotel, and she had almost invited him up, had stood there with her key card in hand trying to work up the courage, before chickening out at the last second. She was 42 years old and felt like a teenager with her first crush. It was ridiculous. It was wonderful. It was terrifying. It was consuming her thoughts in a way that nothing had since her divorce. And then her daughter called. "Mom, I'm worried about you." Zainab's face filled her phone screen, beautiful and concerned and looking so much like Adiz had at that age that it hurt. At 23, Zainab had her mother's cheekbones, her determination, her refusal to accept anything less than excellence. "You sound different. Happy. Too happy. What's going on in Seoul? Did you join a cult? Are you okay?" Adiz's first instinct was to deflect, to change the subject, to protect her daughter from complications. But she had raised Zainab to be honest, to take up space, to never hide herself for anyone's comfort. How could she expect her daughter to be brave if she herself was hiding? "I met someone," she said, the words coming out in a rush. Zainab's eyes widened, and then her whole face lit up like Christmas morning. "That's amazing, Mom. That's so great. Tell me everything. What's he like? How'd you meet? What does he do? Is he nice to you? Because if he's not nice to you, I will literally fly to Seoul and fight him. MIT finals be damned." How to even begin? How to describe Jahun in a way that made sense? He's kind, brilliant, passionate about his work in a way that reminds me of you, actually. He makes me laugh. He makes me feel seen. "That's wonderful, Mom." Zainab's smile was so genuine it made Adiz's chest hurt. "So, what's the problem? Because I can hear in your voice that there's a problem." "What makes you think there's a problem?"
"Mom,
"I'm your daughter. I know you. Also, you just got that little crease between your eyebrows that you get when you're worried about something."
spill."
Adiz took a deep breath. He's 26. Silence. The kind of silence that stretches and becomes uncomfortable, that makes you want to fill it with explanations and justifications. Then, "Oh, I know. It's completely inappropriate. I'm being ridiculous. He's basically a child. Mom, stop." Zainab's voice was firm, cutting through Adiz's spiral. "First of all, he's not a child. He's 26, which is 3 years older than me, and I'm definitely not a child. Second, are you happy? Yes, but does he treat you well? Like, really well? Does he respect you? Better than I deserve, honestly. He's wonderful. Then, what's the problem?" Zainab leaned closer to the camera. "So he's younger. So what? You're not doing anything wrong. You're both adults. You're both single. You're not his teacher or his boss or in some kind of power dynamic that makes it weird. But people will judge. People will judge regardless. People judged when you divorced Dad. People judged when you started your business. People judged when you became successful. You've never let other people's opinions stop you before. Why start now?" Tears pricked Adiz's eyes. When had her daughter become so wise? "When did you grow up?" "I learned from the best." Zainab grinned, that same troublemaker grin she'd had since she was 5. "Now go get your younger man, Mom. And send me a picture. I want to judge his worthiness. If he's not good enough for you, I'll fly to Seoul and give him a piece of my mind." "You're impossible." Again, learn from the best. "I love you, Mom. Be happy. You deserve it." After the call ended, Adiz sat in her hotel room, staring at her phone. Her daughter approved. Her business was thriving. She was genuinely, deeply happy for the first time in years. Maybe for the first time ever, if she was being honest. So, why was she still holding back? What was she so afraid of? Her phone buzzed. A text from Jahun. Lab emergency. Need your expertise urgently. Can you come? She arrived at the Lumiere building 20 minutes later to find the lab dark except for candles. Not overhead lights. Not emergency lights. Candles. Dozens of them, arranged around the room in a way that was either romantic or a massive fire hazard. Possibly both. Jihun stood in the middle of the candlelit lab with 2 wine glasses and a guilty expression that made him look about 16. "This doesn't look like an emergency," she said, but she was smiling despite herself. "It is, actually." He moved toward her, his face serious despite the absurdity of the situation. "I've reached a critical point in my research." "Oh, and what research is that?" "The how much longer can I go without kissing Adi's Okonkwo study." His voice dropped lower, more serious. "Results are conclusive. Not another day. Not another hour, honestly." Her heart started pounding. "Jihun." "I know we said slow," he interrupted, his eyes intense in the candlelight. "I've tried. I've been so good, Adiz. I've kept my distance. I've been professional. I've held back. But I'm going crazy here. Every time I see you, I want you more. Every time you laugh, every time you bite your lip, when you're concentrating, every time you get that excited look in your eyes when you figure something out, I want you more." He stopped a foot away from her, close enough that she could feel the heat of him, far enough that she had to make the choice, had to be the one to close the distance. "Tell me no," he said quietly. "Tell me this is too complicated, that the age difference matters, that I'm being inappropriate. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me no, and I'll step back. I'll be professional. I'll bury everything I feel. I'll go back to being just your colleague. But if you don't say no..." His voice dropped even lower, became almost a whisper. "If you don't say no, I'm going to kiss you. And I'm not going to stop there." Every rational thought in her head said this was a bad idea. He was too young. This was too fast. Too complicated. There were too many ways it could go wrong, too many people who could be hurt. But when she looked at him, really looked at him, she didn't see an age gap. She saw a man who understood her work, who respected her intelligence, who made her feel alive for the first time in years. A man who looked at her like she hung the moon and painted the stars. She closed the distance between them. His hands came up to frame her face, gentle and reverent, like she was something precious he was afraid of breaking. "Adiz," he breathed, her name a prayer on his lips. "Stop talking," she whispered and pulled him down to her. The kiss was everything she had been denying herself. Slow at first, testing, learning the taste and feel of each other. His lips were soft, his hands gentle on her face. Then deeper, hotter, until she forgot where she ended and he began. His hands slid from her face to her waist, pulling her closer. Her fingers tangled in his hair, and God, it was soft, softer than she'd imagined, and she had definitely imagined it more than she wanted to admit. 20 years of marriage, and she had never been kissed like this. Like she was precious and necessary and desperately wanted all at once. Like kissing her was both salvation and damnation. Like he'd been waiting for this as long as she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. "I've wanted to do that since the moment I saw you," he said, his voice rough. It was worth the wait. She couldn't stop smiling, couldn't stop touching him, her hands on his chest, feeling his heartbeat racing as fast as hers. "Come home with me." His thumb traced her lower lip, and she shivered. "Not for, I mean, if you want to, I definitely want to, but that's not why I'm asking. I just want more time with you. No labs, no business, no pressure. Just us. Please." She should say no. Should maintain some boundaries. Should protect herself from moving too fast. "Okay," she said instead, because apparently she had lost her mind completely and was now making decisions based on feelings instead of logic. His apartment was a penthouse in Gangnam, and of course it was. Of course he lived in a penthouse. All floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist design, and the kind of view that belonged in magazines. But what caught her attention, what made her chest feel tight, were the personal touches. The bookshelf full of chemistry texts and Nigerian literature. Chinua Achebe, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Wole Soyinka. All the authors she loved, their spines cracked from being read. The framed photo of him with his parents, all of them laughing. The small collection of African art, masks and sculptures and textiles that had clearly been chosen with care. I started collecting after your TED Talk, he admitted, watching her examine a beautiful Benin bronze. I wanted to understand the culture that shaped you, the history, the art, the literature. I wanted to know where you came from. Something in her chest cracked wide open. This beautiful, brilliant young man had spent 2 years learning about her culture, her work, her world. Not to impress her. He had started long before they met, but because he wanted to understand, because it mattered to him. She turned to find him watching her with that intensity that always made her pulse race. Jahun, I'm in love with you. He said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Like it was a fact, not a feeling. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. I know all the reasons it shouldn't work. But I've been falling for you since long before we met, and now that I know you, the real you, not just the woman on the stage, I'm completely gone. He took a step closer. You don't have to say it back. You don't have to feel the same way. But I needed you to know. I'm in this. Really in this. And I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. Adiz had spent 20 years with a man who had never made her feel a fraction of what Jahun did in 2 weeks. She had built walls around her heart, convinced herself she was done with love, with risk, with vulnerability. But standing in his apartment, seeing the life he had built, the care he had taken to understand her world, she realized something fundamental. Age wasn't the risk. Playing it safe was the risk. Walking away from this extraordinary connection because it didn't fit society's script, because people might judge, because she was scared, that was the real risk. I'm falling for you too, she said, her voice shaking slightly. And it terrifies me. His smile could have lit up the entire city. Good. I'd hate to be terrified alone. He crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed her again, slower this time, sweeter, like they had all the time in the world. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with promise. Stay, he whispered against her lips. Stay tonight. Stay in Seoul. Stay with me. She thought about all the reasons she shouldn't. The age gap, the cultural differences, the business complications, the judgment they would face, the ways it could fall apart, the fact that she had been hurt before and might be hurt again. Then she thought about his smile, his kindness, the way he looked at her like she was the answer to every question he had ever had, the way he made her feel young and alive and possible again, the way he had spent 2 years learning about her culture, the way he said her name. Yes, she said, and let him lead her to the bedroom. Outside, Seoul stretched out beneath them, a city of lights and possibility. Tomorrow would bring complications, meetings with his family, questions from colleagues, 1,000 practical concerns. But tonight, wrapped in Jahun's arms, with his hands gentle on her skin and his lips whispering promises, Adiz let herself believe in the impossible. She had come to Seoul to build a business. She had found something infinitely more valuable, a second chance at love with a man who saw her, truly saw her, and chose her anyway. Age was just a number. Love was everything. And as Jahun whispered her name in the darkness, making promises against her skin that he fully intended to keep, promises that made her believe in futures she had stopped believing in, Adiz Okonkwo finally stopped being done with men. She was just getting started. 6 months later, the Ada's Glow and Lumiere collaboration launch party was the social event of the Seoul season. Everyone who was anyone had shown up, industry leaders, celebrities, influencers, press from 3 continents. The penthouse venue was packed, all floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Seoul's glittering skyline, all elegant design and perfect lighting. Adiz stood at the front of the room, radiant in traditional Igbo attire that Jahun's mother had helped her select. The fabric was a deep burgundy with gold threading, and she wore it like armor, like a declaration. She was preparing to give her speech, but first she caught Jahun's eye across the room. He was in a sharp black suit that fit him like sin, looking impossibly handsome and impossibly proud. When their eyes met, He smiled, that smile that was just for her, and she felt her anxiety ease. They had gone public with their relationship a month ago. The response had been mixed, to put it mildly. Some people were supportive. Her friends from Lagos, the Ada's Glow team. Zainab, who had video called them both and given Jehun the third degree for 45 minutes before declaring him acceptable, but only barely, and I'm watching you. Others were less kind. Korean tabloids had run sensational headlines about the Cougar CEO and Toy Boy scandal. International beauty blogs had speculated about whether their relationship was a publicity stunt. Internet commenters had been predictably brutal. But Jehun's response to a particularly nasty article had gone viral, had been shared millions of times. An Instagram post featuring her in his lab, laughing at something he'd said, clearly caught mid-sentence. The caption read simply, "Love doesn't check IDs. It checks hearts. This woman is brilliant, beautiful, and makes me better every single day. If you have a problem with that, that's your problem, not ours." His mother had taken longer to come around. There had been a tense dinner 3 weeks ago where Mrs. Kong had grilled Adiz about her intentions, her background, her business, her daughter, everything. Adiz had answered honestly, had refused to apologize for her age or her past. At the end of dinner, Mrs. Kong had taken Adiz's hands and said, in careful English, "He's happy. First time in years, really happy. Thank you for that." Now, as Adiz began her speech, thanking everyone for their support, explaining the vision behind the collaboration, she felt Jehun's eyes on her the entire time. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. But she only cared about one person's reaction. He found her later on the terrace, away from the crowd and cameras. "You were incredible in there," he said, pulling her into his arms. "We were incredible. This was our vision together." Our vision. He kissed her forehead. I like the sound of that. Souls sparkled beneath them, the same view from the night they had first kissed in his lab. But everything had changed. She had taken the permanent consulting position. Found an apartment in Gangnam. She'd kept her own place, but spent most nights at his. Started building a life that bridged two worlds. "I have something for you," Jehun said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Her heart stopped. "Jehun, it's not what you think. Open it." Inside was a key. Sleek, modern, with a small charm attached, a tiny shea nut carved from wood. "It's to my apartment," he said. "I know you have your own place, and I respect that. But I want you to know you always have a home with me. No pressure. No expectations. Just, whenever you want to stay, you're welcome. You're always welcome." She looked at the key, then at him. This beautiful, persistent, perfect man who had refused to give up on them. Who had weathered tabloid scandals and family dinners and internet trolls without ever wavering. "I love you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I love you too." He kissed her softly. "Though fair warning, I'm eventually going to ask you to marry me. Not today, but someday. Just so you're prepared. So you can start planning your response." She laughed against his lips. "You're very presumptuous. I'm very in love. There's a difference." Adiz had spent 2 decades in a marriage that made her feel small, that had convinced her she wasn't enough. She had thought she was done with love, done with risk, done with believing in happy endings. But standing on that terrace with Jehun, key in hand, future wide open, she realized she had never been done with love. She had just been waiting for the right person. Someone who saw her strength and loved her for it. Someone who challenged her and supported her in equal measure. Someone young enough to show her how to live again, and wise enough to understand why she had stopped. "Ask me," she said suddenly. He blinked. "What? You said you were going to ask me to marry you eventually. Ask me now." His eyes widened. "Adiz, you said you were persistent. You said you wanted me. Prove it." For the first time since she had met him, Jehun looked genuinely flustered. Then his expression shifted into something determined and tender, and so full of love it made her chest ache. He took both her hands. "Adiz Okonkwo, you're brilliant and beautiful, and you make me want to be better every single day. You're the most impressive person I've ever met, and somehow, miraculously, you chose me. I don't have a ring. I was planning to do this properly, with your mother's blessing and your daughter's approval, and everything perfect. But if you're asking me now..." He took a breath. "Then yes. 1,000 times yes. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that age doesn't matter, that what we have is real and lasting and worth everything?" She was crying and laughing at the same time. "That's my line, you impossible man." "Then answer the question." "Yes." She kissed him. "Yes, yes, yes." Inside, the party continued. Tomorrow would bring challenges, visa applications, wedding planning, merging their lives across 2 continents, dealing with his mother's opinions on everything, dealing with her mother's opinions, which would be even stronger. But tonight, on a Seoul terrace with the man she loved, Adiz Okonkwo felt something she hadn't felt in 20 years. Hope. And love. And the absolute certainty that age was just a number, but what they had was forever.
The end.